But in 2011, lo and behold, mobile money started through Econet Wireless here in Zimbabwe, and the banks were up in arms. It was absolutely crazy and ridiculous.
Last week, we had the first part of Natalie's story. She talked to us about her journey. This week, we continue on part 2 of that story.
I moved on to a Fortune 500 firm, NCR Corporation, which is the largest provider of the world's IT and retail banking solutions. I saw that the world was really transitioning towards mobile from internet platforms. And I wasn't sure that my firm that I was working for at the time was ready for this. So I spoke to the VP at the time who was running Western Europe, and I said, I don't think the organization is ready for digitization. What are we going to do about this? And I think I should embark on a project that focuses the company's strategy globally on digitization. And so they allowed me and gave me the free will right from HQ in Atlanta to run that strategy across 52 countries and define possibly what the firm could look like for its future. And bear in mind, this was a company which was almost 125 years old at the time.
And I love what you're saying, like, and to be honest, you're sharing this story. This sounds like, it actually sounds really frightening. For someone you're there, you're a professional, you're good at what you do, and you're basically going out and you're not taking no for an answer. You know what I mean? I'd love to know from you, what can you tell those out there who would say, they want to take initiative, but they're frightened? I mean, you're a woman, you're an African, you're young, and you're taking that initiative. Did you get any roadblocks when you're doing that? Or what was the approach that you used?
You always get a lot of roadblocks. And one of those examples of roadblocks was, for example, when I was on this digitization journey, one of the things I did in 2010, because I felt that emerging markets were well positioned for mobile financial services. I came out to Zimbabwe and spoke to every single bank to find out what they were thinking about this journey, and to see whether with the work that I was doing at NCR, we might be able to help those banks. None of those banks wanted to hear any of it and literally shut their doors on those propositions. But in 2011, lo and behold, mobile money started through Econet Wireless here in Zimbabwe, and the banks were up in arms. It was absolutely crazy and ridiculous. And there were all sorts of stories in the papers, etc., about why should this mobile money be in the market? There's no place for it. And I went back to London after catching wind of this, and I took initiative. I did a piece on disruptive technologies, which used Zimbabwe as an example, and how banks should say absolutely nothing to EcoCash, because I'd been there in 2010. Nobody was taking initiative, and I spelled out in this op-ed how mobile financial technologies are really important for emerging markets and why EcoCash should be given a chance. And through that initiative, our group chairman, who's an avid reader and a fantastic sponsor of young people and things disruptive, reached out to me and said, I think you're writing about all of the right things. Do you want a chance to come to Zimbabwe and probably do this?
Wow, can you imagine? It's like you called it way back in, when you first came to Zimbabwe to talk to the banks, and you didn't take no for an answer, in the sense of, hey, these guys have said no, but you still went out and spoke your mind. And then through that, this is how the door opened to come back and really be a front runner and really be like a champion for this here in Zimbabwe, isn't it?
Well, yes, but two things were also happening at the time. I was already leading this mobile financial services strategy for a Fortune 500 firm across 52 countries. Exactly. And really what I was trying to marry is to bring that knowledge to the fore for markets and to say this is the way in which these markets should develop. And I'd been given a chance by my firm to run this massive strategy, multiple country layer strategy. But also I was really worried about the positioning, back home here in Africa. And I thought I should really speak out about it because we could be a generation that loses a chance on leapfrogging. And of course, I ended up at EcoCash, where I work right now. For the most part, it's actually funny, that story, because I also have a group chairman who takes no for an answer.
Doesn't take no for an answer. You were headhunted,
yes,
right?
And because of my experience in 2010, I just said no. I'm not sure I'm prepared for that. The banks, their attitude, but he and senior management that were talking to me at the time really convinced me to say, look, why don't you give it a shot? And here's one of the things again, stepping out and giving things a try. Don't just say no. What's the worst that can go wrong? Maybe it won't work out, or maybe, it will work out. But part of taking initiative then requires us to be visible. You can't just take initiative and then not want to be visible. You've got to be visible at the end of the time and at the end of the day. And when you become visible, you've got to take the opportunities that come with that visibility.
Amazing. Natalie, gosh, your story is it's just super inspiring, because you didn't take no for an answer, obviously. You you put your opinion out there. That's exactly what brought you back to Zimbabwe. Tell us a bit more about that. Like, you were headhunted, brought back to you came to actually lead EcoCash here in Zimbabwe. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fantastic opportunity, and it happened at a time where I just, I'm a mom to a 6-year-old daughter. Our children, by the way, who are here while we're doing this video show, have just shouted right in front of the cameras. And this is exactly what happens when you're a mom at work. All right, Jackie?
That is very true. I'm always recording videos. I tell my kids, you're not going to come out when mommy's recording, right? So.
But yes, this happened at a time when I just had my first child, Maka. And so I was really worried about, disrupting the environment that I was used to, where I had all the support, family, etc., and coming to really take on this big job. But again, I really felt that if you're going to take initiative, then you have to be present. You're going to have to be visible. And I'm really passionate about seeing, technological leapfrogging in Africa that creates better services and jobs for the people of Africa. So I really had to take this difficult chance and move back with my daughter was 15 months at the time, and really crack, on this with little or no family support at all, and giving myself and really taking on that chance to say, look, let's give it a shot and let's see what emerges out of it.
Yes. Wow, that's amazing. I didn't even know that she was 15 months when
Yes.
you came back here. So it's coming to just settle back in. Not only that, you're also heading like the top corporate fintech company, like, in Zimbabwe. And what did actually in Africa, to be honest? So how's that been like? You've made some really great, like taking the company really to achieve really amazing milestones. So do you want to share some of those with us?
Well, I think part of that journey has been, again, hard work. I think, our team that we work together with works so hard, and we have, great DNA organizationally of hard work, but also great DNA of initiative. For the most part, the success of EcoCash has been largely taking initiative and then the brand literally becoming visible. We have not known all of the answers out there and not foreseen any of it happening, but we were passionate about it, I think, at every core. And I think when you're passionate about something and you really take initiative and you really work hard, it is inevitable that you only become the best at it. And so in 2017, we became the recipient of the Mobile World Congress Global Award, which for the best mobile payment solution in the world. And I think that's been one of really our proudest moments and stories out of Zimbabwe. And it's been fun, actually. For the most part, people ask me and say, so what has it felt like? The hard work has been there. It has been challenging, but for the most part, loved, completely loved every single bit and every part of it.
That's really amazing. What next in terms of, I think, just listening to your story, and there's a lot who aspire to do big, to make an impact, to have their voice heard, to be able to be recognized in their work front. And there's a couple of things that have come out, 3-4 things that you've been mentioning. It's hard work, being visible, being willing to go speak up
and take initiative.
Take initiative, like push forward those suggestions and not take no for an answer, but still really and also, I mean, I love that you came back. You wanted to come back and just really see the progress come to Africa as well. You know, it's not just
Yeah.
to stay in the UK and have fun and, you know, grow your career, but really to also see that progress come back. And this really underpines a lot of what
Which is
it
great, by the way.
Yeah,
That too.
it's super amazing. Like all that. It's nice to you know look around and be able to also you know bring the how do you call it the gains to our
Yeah.
countries, to our motherland, so to speak. So
Yeah, I mean, it's
yeah.
really being willing to take a different pathway. So many times, you know, we stick to the pathways that are common and that are defined and that we are very comfortable with. But sometimes life presents to us opportunities in which our pathways might actually change. And I think as long as we keep true to what our passion really is, and if we take enough initiative and we are diligent and work hard, I think it prepares us even for the inevitable pathways. So you just ask the question, what next? I think it will largely be central to tech. I love technology, and I think that's not going to change anytime soon. But also, I think the fantastic opportunity to sit on the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres' first ever Global Digital Financing Task Force, where we're figuring out frameworks of how digitization in finance can be broader globally. It's going to be really, really fun initiative. And it's something that I have chosen to throw myself in, you know, also in addition, obviously, to the work that I do. So yeah, I think for the most part, that really, really defines it. But one other thing I'm passionate about is driving innovation amongst young people, innovation hubs, etc., and trying to figure out how I could also maybe give back in that area. So I think as long as, you know, my lane is what I'm passionate about, I would really like to make a difference.
Yes.
And keep taking initiative and working hard on that.
Awesome. This is really thanks, Natalie. Thanks for telling us your story. Oftentimes, you know, we know that someone is doing amazing things. We don't know how they started. We don't know how they got where they got. And I think learning that this is why we started this, you know,
Yes.
Nat and Jackie's Fireside Chat, isn't it? Because we want to bring some of those stories to you guys. And probably any last thoughts from you, Natalie, about just what, you know, the chat we've had and, you know, what we can tell everyone else as a, you know, parting thoughts.
Yes, parting thoughts. I think it's really important for us to be able to tell our stories, particularly stories that emerge out of this continent that are typically ever so undertold. And I'm really looking forward to the series that we've started, Natalie and Jackie's Fireside Chats on Africa X.
Yes.
Undefined, unprecedented, and seeing what we will be able to bring to the fore in terms of what we're passionate about. And very soon, Jackie, we will also be talking about your story.
Yes.
And so I am very much looking forward to that because you're super talented young woman, also a mom, and have had an extremely fulfilling career. And we will leave that as a teaser, I think, to the audience to discover who Jackie Tsuma is. But I'm so looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to that too. Thanks, Natalie. So you guys, that is it for today. We look forward to, you know, catching up with you guys next time. As we said in the beginning, like, share, put your comments below. What is it that you loved about you know, Natalie's story that has really inspired you? And be sure to join us on the next Africa X chat. Okay?
Bye.